Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Comfort Fashion. My sign language interpreter is Taiwo Ozoma. Let's begin with the headlines. Nigeria joins Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, an initiative launched at ongoing G20 Leaders Summit. The federal government says development of northern Nigeria remains fundamental, unveils comprehensive youth development strategy. President Tinubu transmits to National Assembly Medium. Nigeria has joined the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, an initiative just launched at the ongoing summit of the G20 leaders in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. President Bola Tinubu made the commitment while addressing the summit, saying the fight against hunger and poverty must be a top priority for the world. State House correspondent Musbah Danwahab reports from Rio de Janeiro.
For the first time, President Bola Tinubu personally introduces First Lady Oluremi on the world stage. It was to the warm embrace of the host president, Luis da Silva.
Your Highnesses.
The first session of the summit focused on a major concern of the world, poverty. From its national and global perspectives, the Brazilian presidency of the G20 acknowledges the increasing danger posed by poverty and even compounded by COVID-19.
Hunger and poverty is not the result of scarcity or natural phenomena. Hunger, as used to say the Brazilian geographer and scientist José de Castro, hunger is the biological expression of social evil.
Nigeria is one of the 19 guest countries this year, and for the second consecutive time under President Tinubu. Based on data from the National Bureau of Statistics, World Bank had projected that about 40% of Nigerians are estimated to live below the international poverty line by the end of 2024. And so, President Bola Tinubu could relate with the call for an all-inclusive growth.
The fight against hunger and poverty is not a matter of choice, but a matter of priority for me. Where do I get those helps? I have a very vibrant youth population, 70% below the age of 30. To all of us here, investment in education, investment in health, in investment in food security, cheaper financing, de-risking various African countries, putting us on a better and more progressive arrangement to prioritize food security and the agricultural reforms are necessary.
As he paints the picture of challenges confronting Africa, including insecurity, multi-dimensional poverty, and cases of out-of-school children, the Nigerian leader says his administration has embarked on aggressive reform to form bases for developmental programs. But then he calls on the world to extend timely support to Africa.
Support the continent. The neglect of Africa is a danger to the rest of humanity. Africa is crying for support. Thank you very much for listening.
From Rio de Janeiro, Musbah Danwahab, NTA News.
The G20 leaders have backed a comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon, which welcomed all constructive initiatives to end the Ukraine war and achieve durable peace. Francis Udojo reports that the leaders expressed deep concerns about the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the besieged Palestinian coastal enclave.
The G20 leaders, in a joint declaration after their meeting in the Brazilian city of Rio de Janeiro, extended their united support to a ceasefire in Gaza as well as in Lebanon that would enable citizens to return safely to their homes. Brazil has been hosting a two-day annual summit of G20 leaders since Monday. The declaration highlights the urgent need to expand the flow of humanitarian assistance and to reinforce the protection of civilians and demand the lifting of all barriers to the provision of humanitarian assistance at scale. Israel's war on Gaza has killed more than 43,900 people, 104,000 others. Tel Aviv also faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its actions in Gaza. Highlighting the human suffering and negative impacts of the war, the G20 leaders affirmed the Palestinian right to self-determination. Also, as the Russia-Ukraine war surpassed 1,000 days since February 2022, the G20 leaders highlighted the human suffering and negative added impacts of the war on global food and energy security, supply chains, macro-financial stability, inflation, and growth. However, the leaders welcomed all relevant and constructive initiatives that support a comprehensive, just, and durable peace, upholding all the purposes and principles of the UN Charter for the promotion of peaceful and good neighborly relations among nations. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
A Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas Lawal, has briefed the media on the actual number of Nigerian delegations to the ongoing United Nations Conference on Climate Change in Baku, Azerbaijan. Balarabe Abbas said a total of 309 delegates are in Azerbaijan undertaking various assignments for Nigeria. He said out of these number, 157 were sponsored by the World Bank, European Union, and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, while only 152 came from ministries, departments, and agencies of state and federal governments. The minister said the COP29 portal created for accreditation of delegates prior to the ongoing climate change conference in Baku is opened to Nigerians to verify the numbers to forestall any misconception and wrong narrative that might surface in the public.
152 that were actually, that came from various governments, federal and state governments, and about 157 that came on their own. So if you add that, you're talking about 309 or thereabout. So people tend to make a lot of noise about these numbers about Nigeria. If you look at it, a large number of those who came in through support from a number of organizations, EU, UNDP, World Bank. So most of the people that are here, apart from the ministers that I can in the Ministry of Environment itself, only me came on government sponsorship. We are here to negotiate. I just signed an MOU with China, and it's money that is coming into Nigeria. The Minister of Health came in and signed an agreement also that a lot of money will come into Nigeria. I'm sure by the time we leave here, the Minister of Women Affairs also signed an agreement for money to come to Nigeria. So let us now try to give us the benefit of doubt.
The minister said those in doubt can contact the ministry or the National Council on Climate Change Secretariat for further clarification, saying Nigerians should remain patriotic and supportive of the Nigerian project. Nigeria, he also said, is in the forefront of negotiations and attracting the right investments and collaborations with the expectation that the country's delegation will deliver for Nigeria in the end. Somaliland's opposition leader Abdulrahman Chiro has defeated incumbent President Musa Bihi Abdi in the country's presidential polls held last week. This sets a leadership change as the breakaway Somali region pushes for global recognition. Francis Udojo reports.
Somaliland has had de facto self-rule since independence from Somalia in 1991, but has not been recognized by any country, restricting access to international finance and the ability of 86 million people to travel. However, the self-declared independent country, in its presidential election, the Electoral Commission says the leader of the opposition, Wadani Party, Abdurrahman Chiro, won 64% of the vote, while incumbent President Muse Bihi Abdi, who was seeking a second term, won 35% in the polls. Both candidates promised to strengthen democracy, boost economic growth, and gain the international recognition the country has sought for 33 years. It was the region's fourth presidential poll since it broke away from Somalia over 3 decades ago. Somaliland has since sustained its own government, currency, and security structures despite lacking global recognition, which has restricted its access to international finance. The region has built a stable political environment in sharp contrast to Somalia's security struggles. Voting took place amid rising tension with Mogadishu over Somaliland's deal, granting the landlocked Ethiopia access to the Indian Ocean in exchange for political recognition. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Rwanda's forces in Mozambique have played an important role in holding back the insurgency for 3 years in a region where fighting has delayed a liquefied natural gas exports project. Joseph Borrell, Vice President of the EU Commission, says the presence of Rwandan Defense Force troops have been instrumental to make progress and remains key. He also described the funding of £20 million to Rwanda's Defense Force in Mozambique as a testimony of the EU's support to Africa's solution for Africa's problems. Although the deal was anticipated, it has sparked tensions. It also comes with the condition that the funding will be pulled if money is spent on operations elsewhere than in Mozambique. This restriction is mainly the work of Belgium, which reiterated its condemnation of Rwanda's troops' alleged backing of M23 rebels in the DRC. Earlier this year, a UN report accused Rwanda of helping the M23 rebel group that fights Congolese forces in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. President Tinubu has transmitted to the Senate the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper 2025 to 2027 for consideration and approval. In the communication led by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, the President expresses hope of expeditious consideration and passage as it has embedded parameters upon which the 2025 budget is predicted.
Was approved during the Federal Executive Council meeting of 10th day of November 2024. The Senate is invited to note that as the 2025 budget of the Federal Government of Nigeria will be prepared based on the parameters and fiscal assumptions of the approved 2025 to 2027 MTEF and FSP.
Also communicated to the Senate for approval is a request from the President of the $2.2 billion external borrowing plan. President Tinubu also requested that the Senate to confirm appointments of 3 nominees as commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission and Bridget Oloworara as Director General of Pension Commission. Meanwhile, plenary was an outpour of tributes in honor of the late Senator Ifeanyi Uba, representing Anambra South, who died on the 27th of July 2024. Vice President Kashim Shettima and the family of the deceased were among those in attendance at the valedictory session.
My condolences to his family, friends, and political associates, most especially Eon, with whom they are planning to go on a long journey. Your Excellency, please receive my most heartfelt condolences.
The President has similarly submitted the 2025 to 2027 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper to the House of Representatives for its consideration and approval. The President is seeking expeditious approval of the medium-term expenditure framework, as its fiscal assumptions and parameters will be the basis for the 2025 budget. The House also requested to approve the implementation of $2.2 billion as new external borrowing to finance the 2024 budget deficit of 9.1 trillion naira.
Borrowing of 7.828 trillion was further subdivided into new domestic borrowing of 6.061 trillion naira and new external borrowing of 1.76 trillion naira.
The House called for the activation of 87 skill acquisition centers of the National Directorate of Employment to lift millions of youth out of unemployment.
Centers currently non-functional. The intended goal of equipping the nation's youth with essential vocational skills is being undermined. This situation is contributing to rising unemployment, as these centers were designed to offer critical training in areas such as computer operations, welding, hairdressing, shoemaking, satellite installation, etc. Skills that are crucial for self-employment and economic empowerment. It should be noted with nostalgia that Nigeria now relies on foreign nationals from mostly West African countries like Togo, Benin Republic, Cameroon, etc., to fill the medium-skilled labor market.
You're watching the news on NTA International. Time now for a short break. We'll be back shortly. The Nigerian government has unveiled a comprehensive youth development strategy spanning multiple key sectors to drive the nation's economic transformation, as President Tinubu reaffirms that the development of northern Nigeria remains fundamental. Vice President Kashim Shettima said this at a stakeholders roundtable on northern youth development organized by the Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
15 years of existence, this Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation is striving to focus on the development of northern Nigeria. Fulfilling its strides in education, the foundation has provided opportunities to help in dialogue and other challenges. And now, the foundation is seeking solutions to youth restiveness.
We here, they say child begins at home. This is home. So let's come together, keep away all sort of negative things. Nobody should be allowed to come in and build roadblocks towards our unity as North, or as Christians or Muslims or whatever it is. We are one big family. God doesn't make mistakes when He brought us together as one people.
Let us be very frank. Let us come up with suggestions of what individuals can do, what traditional rulers can do. For me, maybe because of my relationship with the traditional rulers, I know what they can do at the local level. I am aware that today, a governor says something, local people will go to their traditional ruler to confirm whether what the governor has said is what is the truth.
Empowering the next generation, strategies for sustainable youth development in northern Nigeria is the theme of the meeting. And Vice President Kashim Shettima says the time for discussion has passed. It is time for action.
The late Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto, was one of the towering giants on whose shoulders we have ascended as a nation. Its legacy reinforces our conviction that the development of the North is central to the prosperity of Nigeria. His vision was clear. The North cannot progress in isolation, and Nigeria cannot prosper unless every part of this nation thrives.
With this roundtable engagement, the two-day event is expected to build an inclusive approach designed to ensure the voices of young people are heard and considered in the discussions. In Abuja, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alaki, has assured Nigerians that the federal government has adopted necessary policies to position solid minerals as source of national pride and pillar of Nigeria's economic growth. This was at the ongoing mining week taking place in Abuja with stakeholders from across the globe. Ekene Ndulwe reports.
It was a platform to review strides in Nigeria's mining industry in the past 1 year. The new sheriff in the sector, Dele Alaki, is pleased that reforms introduced within the period are sanitizing the sector, creating room for capable investors.
To reduce speculation, therefore, and absentee miners, we put in place a new regime of rates that makes sure that you either use the license you have or you lose it.
The federal government has decided to privatize the foremost integrated steel plant at Ajokuta and its captive iron ore mine at Itape, and we have kickstarted the process to ensure the accomplishment of this objective above by signing a memorandum of understanding with the original builders of the plant.
Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology is representing the president at the event with the message that mining is now integral to his broader vision of national prosperity.
Our vision also emphasizes local content, linking mining to broader economic diversification by prioritizing local sourcing, technology transfer, and skills development.
Mining investment brochure launched at the event provides roadmap of opportunities for investors with highlights on key reforms in the industry. Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Communication is key to governance. This is because it does not only shapes public perceptions, but also determines the efficiency of internal processes in a vast and diverse service delivery like Nigeria, which requires clear communication and documentation. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation stated this at the inauguration of Style Manual Committee for the Federal Civil Service. Haman Jabani reports.
The 13-man Style Manual Committee, chaired by former Permanent Secretary Olushade Adeshola, is to develop a comprehensive style manual that will serve as the guiding framework for all official communications and documentation across ministries, departments and agencies. It is about standardizing front, template, stationery and writing style and creating a standardized communication and documentation system for the Federal Civil Service, one that reflects the dedication of service excellence. The terms of reference of the committee include to identify and categorize the various types of instruments of communication in the Federal Civil Service, to develop communication templates for each of the identified categories. Others are to define appropriate language use, including acceptable vocabulary, to provide standardized format for letters, memos, reports, circular, and other official documents, including font style and size, punctuation, and sentence structure.
We reaffirm our commitment to clarity, professionalism, consistency, and accountability in all our interactions, both internal and external.
Together, we will approach these tasks with diligence, inclusivity, a shared vision of elevating the standards of the Federal Civil Service, and a commitment to delivering a style manual that will serve as an enduring legacy of your tenure.
The committee has 3 months to complete its assignment. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
The Nigerian government has established the National Engineering and Innovation Fund, a new initiative designed to provide grants and resources to engineers and technologists working on solutions to the nation's unique challenges. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a message, announced the establishment of this fund, which he says aims to support local innovations, encourage entrepreneurship, and ensure that Nigeria remains at the forefront of engineering advancements in Africa. Justin Bem Unyi was at the 2024 International Engineering Conference, an exhibition holding in Abuja.
The 2024 International Engineering Conference, exhibition and annual general meeting hosted by the Nigerian Society of Engineers brought together engineers from around the world to address critical issues of food security and climate change. This conference's theme, Sustainable Engineering Solutions to Food Security and Climate Change, emphasized innovative solutions for global challenges. President Bola Tinubu officially opened the event, announcing the launch of the National Engineering and Innovation Fund, aimed at empowering engineers in Nigeria and strengthening the country's engineering sector.
We are also committed to supporting Nigerian engineers by creating an environment that fosters innovation. I am proud to announce the establishment of the National Engineering and Innovation Fund, a new initiative designed to provide grants and resources to engineers and technologies working on solutions for Nigeria's unique challenges.
Minister of Agriculture Bakari highlighted the crucial role of engineers in developing renewable energy, efficient irrigation and precision agriculture technologies to combat climate change, urging engineers to use the conference as a platform for actionable solutions.
Engineers must work on affordable, adaptable machinery suited to Nigerian crops and terrains, encouraging mechanized farming to increase efficiency and productivity. Engineers should design sustainable storage facilities and processing technologies, especially those that can be deployed in rural communities.
The leadership of the NSC called on engineers to step up as innovators and problem solvers in addressing these pressing issues.
I challenge you to push boundaries, think beyond limitations, and inspire solutions that will not only solve today's problems, but safeguard our future.
The event featured conferment of honorary fellowships and a presentation of awards to winners of the innovation competition, the JET competition, and key partners celebrating the contributions and achievements of engineers. Justin Bem Unyi, NTA News.
We end the news there, but before we go, let's take a look at Wednesday's weather prospect for Nigeria and around the world. Thanks for watching. I am Comfort Fashim. Taiwo Ozoma has been the sign language interpreter.